This book is very philosophical and very political, so if I want to make that point again, you might not enjoy it if you don't like this style of storytelling. So it's been a while, it's been another long while, but this time I had my examinations again. They lasted themselves for half a month, and the preparations leading to those examinations lasted a month themselves, hence the time difference between the previous video and this one. Regardless of that, today I'm here with the book review for The Well of Ascension, which is the second book in Brandon Sanderson's epic fantasy series, MISTBORN. For those of you who saw the previous book review or have read the first book, you know this is going to be an absolutely spectacular one, and of course, spoilers for book 1. If you think that I should do a breakdown for the magic systems in MISTBORN, please write that down in the comments, go ahead. And if you feel like I should cover the entire story of the Cosmere so far, go ahead and write that too. So without any further ado, sit down, relax, and let's jump into the book review. So this is the cover of the book. It's The Well of Ascension. It's the second book in the MISTBORN series and follows the events exactly after the ending of the Final Empire, which was the first book in the series. The story continues to follow Vin, who is our leading protagonist, and her allies as they try to save their city Luthadel from looming threats. So the book starts off exactly where the previous one left off, which is the defeat of the Lord Ruler and the collapse of his empire. Vin and her allies are left with the task of rebuilding an entire nation, but the killing of the Lord Ruler has left a power vacuum, and other factions are vying for control over Luthadel, which is the main city of the Final Empire. So many factions are trying to take control of Luthadel, and the most dangerous of these are the Colossus, which was an army of monsters created by the Lord Ruler, and now they are going to attack Luthadel along with several other factions and people. So I'm sure by now those of you who have read the first book are familiar with what allomancers and MISTBORN are, but there are several new concepts that are introduced in this book. Brandon Sanderson takes the story deeper and further and tries to explore new concepts like ferrochemy and hemalurgy. Now I don't know if I pronounced those two correctly. Ferrochemy is the ability to store attributes like strength or speed in metals. Hemalurgy involves stealing attributes from others and infusing them into different people. Like, we get a deep insight to how the Inquisitors, which are horrifying monsters from the first book, how they are made. They are made through hemalurgy by taking the powers from an allomancer or a MISTBORN, compiling them into spice and then driving them into the Inquisitors. This book has a large focus on the political side of the war, and it follows an entire siege that Luthadel has to hold up against two separate armies. This book is very political, and if you don't like the politics and all the legal issues that they have, then this book will be quite boring for you. However, Sanderson expertly weaves a story of alliances and betrayals and leaves you always astounded at every single page turn. It's absolutely gripping. Vin, who is the main character of the series, the protagonist, is a serious and complex character. Her struggles with herself and how she tries to find herself in the world make her very relatable. However, the most interesting aspect of this book was Ellen Venture's inclusion into the group. Ellen Venture, if you remember, I mentioned him in my last video, saying he will be an important part in the next books. So he is right now the current king of Luthadel. And Vin really likes him, he really likes Vin, and they're thinking about getting married, but they're both not sure about how to go about it. So the supporting cast, which is basically Vin's crew now, has really intricate backstories and characters about them, and they're really interesting to read about. He builds this and weaves this entire world and realizes this entire world with its own magic system, cultures, histories, which makes you want to understand more about that world. So for Ellen Venture's role in this entire book goes something like this. He was the son of a nobleman, he was a noble person, and he was sympathetic towards Kelsier's rebellion. So now he's the king of Luthadel, and he's trying to win over the support and trust from people through only democratic principles. As the book progresses, we will slowly see him realize that a king has to do many things, to sacrifice people, to make sacrifices for the greater good. Basically, he has to understand that being a king is not all about morals and principles. Sometimes they have to do what's right through any means necessary. So now, Luthadel is being attacked by Ellen's father, Straff Venture, who realized that the Lord Ruler is now dead and he can come in and fill in the power vacuum by becoming the new king of Luthadel. At the same time, another king, his name is Set, C-E-T-T, is attacking from the other side, and now Luthadel is caught in between of two armies. If this wasn't enough, an army of Kolos, who are massively horrifying creatures, are also attacking and heading towards Luthadel for another fight or another attack. They also want to take control of the city, and they are brainless. That means a human being has to be controlling them. I'm not going to tell you who it is, you're going to find out when you read the book. So I want to go over the characters in a little more detail, so let's go right into it. The first one is Vin, of course. She's an allomancer and a Mistborn, and she's the protagonist of Mistborn Era 1. In Era 2, she and Ellen and all this, the cast is no longer followed. We have different characters and different people to follow. At least for Era 1, which is these 3 books, Vin is the protagonist. In this story, she's trying to establish a new government with Ellen and trying to stop all the other invading forces, while trying to find herself and trying to find out her identity, who she is and how she should be, and her identity as a Mistborn. I already spoke about Ellen's ventures, so let's move towards Sazed. Sazed is a Terris, a race of people with their own different cultures and magical systems. He is a steward of knowledge and serves as a counselor to both Vin and Ellen. The book is all about him struggling as he has a crisis of faith, as everything he believes in comes crashing down around him. This book is very, very philosophical and very, very political, so if I want to make that point again, you might not enjoy it if you don't like this style of storytelling. The action and the insane fights go on to happen in the third book, which is The Hero of Ages, which is an absolutely action-packed book. However, this book focuses a lot on beliefs, faiths, philosophy, and political maneuvers and legalities and laws. So, might not be that interesting. Just a warning. This is Breeze. Breeze is a member of Kelsey's former crew, and he is a soother. That means he plays around with people's emotions, and we spoke a lot about him in the first video, and the first book talks about him a lot, so most of you would already know about him by now. Hardest part to read about in this book was all about Marsh. If you don't remember, Marsh was Kelsey's brother, who had been taken away by the Inquisitors, and everybody assumed him to have been tortured and then killed, but it was shown later that he became an Inquisitor because the Inquisitors found him very interesting, and they gave him the powers of an Inquisitor and made him an Inquisitor. So his story is one of the saddest in this book, even in the third book. And right now he is forced to choose between the loyalty to the Ministry of Steel, which is the other Steel Inquisitors who he now sees as his brothers, or Kelsier and Kelsey's crew. So he really doesn't know what to do in this book, and I find him one of the best characters, most well-written characters in the entirety of Mistborn. Finally, we introduce a new character here who is Zane. Now Zane is a Mistborn who is with Straff Venture. I'm not going to tell you what their relationship is and who they are, but Zane is a Mistborn who wants to come together with Vin and have a talk with her, because he really believed in Kelsey's previous motives and he hates noblemen, and he's hoping that Vin, who is a Mistborn powerful enough to kill everybody in the army and stop the siege at once, will do so. So now the thing is that Zane wants Vin to kill everyone and stop the siege immediately, which he can. He said that he will help her so that Zane and Vin, very powerful Mistborn, can go out together and absolutely murder everybody. The reason Vin keeps holding back is because she believes in Elend and his political approach to ending the war. She doesn't want to kill anybody, and at one point she does go quite insane and ends up killing 300 people, and then she feels horrible after that. So she's trying to support Elend in his political ventures to try to save the city, and Zane is completely opposed to that. Zane becomes quite romantically involved with Vin, but their relationship is built on tension and distrust. They both don't know each other and they hate each other. As usual, Brandon Sanderson does an excellent job at giving every character a unique personality and an interesting backstory so that you connect with them in the best way possible. I mentioned in my last book review that Mistborn is better than Stormlight Archive, and it might just be because again it made me connect the most, and I find all these characters so much more relatable than the ones in the Stormlight Archive. No offense to Kaladin fans, he's an amazing character. So the plot of The Well of Ascension is amazingly written and multi-layered, with intertwining stories between the characters' backstory and the present state of the Final Empire. And Sanderson does an excellent job of keeping all these threads of stories tied together and weaving them into a wonderful, cohesive whole. This book is full of twists and turns, and the ending of the book sets it up in a way that leaves the viewer hungry to know what happens in the third book. So that was it for The Well of Ascension. I hope you enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed this book, and I would recommend it to anyone who would like to read or get into reading high fantasy or epic fantasy. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you stuck around till the end, I'll assume you enjoyed it, and you would please leave a like on this video. I'm gonna see you guys next time. Now, I finished The Hero of Ages, and now hopefully I can start Era 2, because I'm really interested in getting deeper into the Cosmere. And I'll see you next time. Goodbye.